We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Vov, Amud Aleph, Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 76a. The Gemara says, Amar Rebbe Elazar says, this Mishnah, Rashi explains what we're talking about. Amar Rebbe Elazar, dekatani masnisin, that which our Mishnah says, de'eno kosher latzniya, if something is such a small amount that a person wouldn't even set it aside, ve'etznio echad, and then a particular person does set it aside, hu mischayev al hotza'ah, so that person is chayev when he carries it, v'chol adam betur, and everybody else is potter, delo Reb Shimon ben Elazar, that does not follow Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So delo Reb Shimon ben Elazar, this Mishnah does not follow Reb Shimon ben Elazar. The Tanya, because we learned in a brisa, klal amar Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Reb Shimon ben Elazar has the following rule: kol she'eno kosher latzniya, if something is not fit to be set aside, ve'ein matzniyan kamo, and nobody would set this amount aside, v'hochsher lazev etznio, but this particular person is unique, and he decides this amount of this particular item is enough to set it aside, to save it for use, uva acher v'otzio, and then somebody else comes and takes it out on Shabbos and carries it on Shabbos. This person is chayev for this other person's machshava. In other words, according to Shimon ben Elazar, if this item is chashav to one person and that person sets the item aside, anyone who carries that particular item is chayev on Shabbos. That is not like what our Mishnah said. The Gemara continues with the Mishnah. Hamotzi teven kemoli pipar. If somebody carries straw on Shabbos, it's the amount that fits in the mouth of a cow. That's the amount that's considered chashav that you're chayev for carrying on Shabbos. Eitzah, if somebody carries eitzah, that will be explained in the Gemara. Kemoli pigamo, that's the amount that fits in the mouth of a camel. Amir, kemoli pitzlef, somebody carries amir, that's the amount that fits in the mouth of a sheep. Rashi says, what's amir? Amir is koshen shel shibol, and it's the straw that comes with grain, with the stalks of grain. It's a soft kind of a straw. Asavim, if somebody carries grass, kemoli pigadi, it's the amount that fits in the mouth of a goat. Ale shum va'ale betzalim, somebody carries the leaves of garlic or the leaves of onions. Lachem, if they are moist, kegrogros, then it's the amount of a dried fig. Yeveshim, if they are dry, kemoli pikadi, it's the amount that fits again in the mouth of a goat. Ve'ein mitztarfen zeh im zeh mipnei shelo shava b'shiurein. The Mishnah concludes that these different items are not mitztaref with one another because they don't have the same shear. In other words, if a person has a little bit of tevin and a little bit of eitzah, you can't say, well, let's combine that to make the proper shear to be chayav for carrying on Shabbos, because since the shear of tevin and the shear of eitzah is different, you can't combine the two items. The Gemara says, "My eitzah, what kind of food is eitzah?" Amar Rav Yehuda says, "Teven shalmine kitnios." It's a straw that comes with legumes. Kiyasa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came, Amar, he said, "Hamotzi teven kemoli pipara legamal." What happens if a person carries teven, which fits in the mouth of a cow? So that is the normal shear for teven, but he's carrying it for a camel. He's taking it on Shabbos in order to feed to a camel. So for a camel, that's not really enough. Rashi here explains, "Votzio la'achilu legamal shapi gamal gadol mi pipara." The mouth of a camel is larger than the mouth of a cow, so maybe he's not taking enough to be chayiv, or maybe no, he's taking the minimum shear. It is enough. So Rav Dimi says it's actually a machlokas. Rabbi Yochanan amar chayiv, Rav Shimon ben Lakish amar potter. Rabbi Yochanan says in such a case you're chayiv. At the end of the day, he took a moli pipar of tevin, and Rav Shimon ben Lakish said if he's taking it for a camel, it's got to be enough to fit the mouth of a camel. But Ursa Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Now, in the evening, that's what Rabbi Yochanan said that you're chayiv. Let's sa'afra haderbe. But in the morning, he actually changed his mind, and he went like Rabbi Shimon that you're potter. Amar Rabbi Yosef said, Shapir avad dehader. It's good that he changed his mind. Dehalo chazi legamal, because he's taking it out for a camel, and it's not fit for a camel. So obviously you're potter. Amar le Abai said back to Rabbi Yosef, on the contrary, the original thinking of Rabbi Yochanan was correct. Because he's taking the amount that is fit for a cow, he's taking the basic minimum shear, he certainly should be chayiv. Elo kiyasa Ravin, rather when Ravin came, Amar, he said that you have the machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish incorrect. Hamotzi tevin kemoli pipar legamal. If somebody carries tevin, the amount for a cow, for a camel, dekuli alma lo pligi dechayiv. Everybody agrees you're chayiv. It's exactly like Abaye said, dehachazi lepar, right? It's fit for a cow, so therefore that's the minimum shear, that's the amount. You're obviously chayiv. Ki pligi b'motzi eitzah kemoli pipara lepara. Let's say a person is carrying eitzah. Now, again, by eitzah, the normal shear was the mouth of a camel, but this guy wants to feed the eitzah to a cow, and he's taking it, the amount that can be fed to the mouth of a cow for a cow. So in such a situation, do we say, even though it's a smaller amount than the standard, maybe since for his particular usage, this is chashiv, maybe he should be chayiv. So he says that's actually the machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish ve'ibcha itmar, and the machlokas was actually reversed. Rabbi Yochanan amar potter, and this case, Rabbi Yochanan says you're pater because at the end of the day, the normal standard shear is kemoli pi gamol when it comes to eitzah. And Reish Lakish Amar Chayiv. Reish Lakish says no. In that case, since you're taking out pi para li para, you're taking an amount enough for the cow. You're taking an amount enough for the cow for a cow. Reish Lakish says you're chayiv. Rabbi Yochanan Amar pater. Rabbi Yochanan says pater. Achila al yedei adachak lo shma achila. When you're forcing eating, that's not called eating. So in this case, essentially you're force feeding the cow food that he's not normally going to eat. That's not called achila. It's not considered chashuv, and it's not considered hotzah on Shabbos. Reish Lakish says chayiv. You are chayiv. Achila al yedei adachak shma achila. When you force feed, that's still called feeding. So in this particular case, when you're taking eitzah for a cow, even though that's not the normal food you would give a cow, since that's what you're doing with it, it is considered chashuv, and therefore, according to Reish Lakish, in this case, you would in fact be chayiv. The Gemara now continues quoting the Mishnah again, Amir Kemale Pitla. When it comes to Amir, again, that's the straw that comes with the grain. So it's the amount that goes into the mouth of a sheep. So the Gemara says, Vatanya, we have a brisa that says different shear, Kegrogris. It says the amount of Amir that you're chayiv on Shabbos is the amount of a dried fig. So the Gemara answers, Idi v'idi chad shiru. Actually, it's the same exact shear. The amount that is fed to a sheep is the same amount as a dried fig, and therefore it's just giving you the shear in a different fashion. And then the Mishnah said, Ale shum ve'ale bitzalim, if a person has leaves of garlic or leaves of onions, lachim kegrogros, if they're moist, then it's a dried fig. Now, the idea there is that if it's moist, the reason why it's a dried fig is because it's fit for human consumption in that case. The amount for foods for human consumption, the shear, is a kegrogros. V'yaveshim kemole piagdi, but if it's dry, it's not fit for humans, then it goes by the amount that can feed a goat. Ve'ein mitzdarfin zemzeh, and then the Mishnah concluded that we don't join them together, mivnei shelo shavu b'shiurein, because they do not have the same share. Since all these items have different shiurim, you can't be mitzdarif. So Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says, Ein mitzdarfin l'chamor shebehen. They are not mitzdarif towards astringency, avol mitzdarfin l'kal shebehen, but they could be mitzdarif towards the more lenient. Rashi here explains what the Gemara means. Ein mitzdarfin l'chamor shebehen means, misha shiuro gadol have a kal. The one with the larger shear, if you think about it, is more lenient. It takes more to be chayiv. Ve'eno mitzdaref lahashlam shiuro shel chamor, and therefore you can't take something that's more lenient to accomplish the shear of something that's more strict. To halo chashuv, because this item is not as chashuv as the strict thing. Kiyahu as that item. Aval hachashuv mashlam as hakal, but something that's more chashuv can complete the shear of something that's more lenient, like a shear to the proper shear. For example, tevin mitzdarefim eitzah lahashlam pi gamol. Tevin is more chashuv than eitzah, right? It takes less tevin to be chayiv. So if you want to get the amount of eitzah is normally to feed the mouth of a camel, and you have a little bit of eitzah and you want to complete that shear, you can use tevin to complete that shear and be chayiv. However, ve'eitzah in mitzdarefim atevin lahashlam moli pi para. Let's say I have tevin, I don't have quite enough to feed the mouth of a cow, and I want to take a little eitzah to fill that. That's not going to work because eitzah is a less chashuv item than tevin. So essentially, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina is saying that which it says in the Mishnah that these items are not mitzdaref, it's not really true. They're not mitzdaref if you're going in one direction, but if you're going in the other direction, if you're taking something that's more chashuv and trying to be mitzdaref, it was something that's more lenient, that actually could work. So the Gemara says, is that really true? Things that have different shiurim can be mitzdaref as long as you're taking something more chashuv and joining with something less chashuv. Is that really true? But we learned in the Mishnah, habeged gimel al gimel. If you have these are different shiurim that are mekabel tumah. We're talking here about tumas medras hazav, when a zav sits upon something, puts his weight upon something. So in such a situation, there's something called tumas medras, and it actually becomes an avatuma. So there's a certain shear of what normally people will use either to sit on or to use for support. What is the shear of these different items? So beged, a normal article of clothing, is 3 by 3. V'hasak daled al daled. When it comes to sackcloth, the shear is a little larger. It needs to be 4 by 4. V'ha'or, when it comes to leather, hey al hey, it needs to be 5 by 5. Maputz, and if it's a matted material, vav al vav, it's 6 by 6. So these are different shiurim for what's considered chashuv in terms of these begadim. Betani Allah, and we learned on this Mishnah, habeged v'hasak, hasak v'ha'or, ha'or v'hamaputz. If you have beged and sak, or sak and or and maputz, mitzdarfin zeh im zeh, you are allowed to join the different shiurim together. It's not a problem. Rashi here explains, habeged v'hasak mitzdarfin, shahabeged mashlam shir hasak. The same idea as we said before. Since beged is more chashiv, it's mekabel tumah, a smaller shear. It could be mashlim, it could complete the shear of the sackcloth. Exactly what Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina is saying, that it could be mitzdaref lekal shebehen, but the brisa here gives a reason. V'yam Rabbi Shimon explains, Matam, what's the reason why these things you could be mitzarif? Mibnei sheru'in litame moshav, because there's one area of tumah where they actually have a common shear when it comes to moshav. Rashi explains what that means. Ho'el ru'in litame moshav im tzirif mishnayim yachad l'taloi mardas shel chamor. Let's say you took two of these items to make the saddle by a donkey. Kishiurolin in Moshav Hazav, which is the shear from Moshav Hazav, im katza mishnayim mehen v'tikin tefach al tefach. If you took two of these items and made just a tefach on a tefach by a tefach, leishev olav mitame le'avatuma. It would be an avatuma b'Moshav Hazav in that case. The Tanya, because we learned hamekatzeh mikulan tefach al tefach. You don't need 3 by 3 or 4 by 4. Even one tefach by one tefach is good. If you're doing it to make this saddle of a donkey, tamei moshav. That's going to be good enough for tamei moshav. V'amrinan time of parakam d'tzukah ho'avaroi litlos agabe chamor she'eno makbedim hu mishnei minim. When it comes to the saddle of a donkey, people don't care if it comes from different types of things. So a tefach by a tefach, combining two materials of these materials is certainly okay. It's enough for Tumas Moshav. So since there's a common shear for Tumas Moshav, then we say that for this Tumas Medris as well, you can combine shiurim as long as you're going lekal shebehen, as long as you're taking something more chashav and combining with something less chashav. So the point of the Gemara is taima deruin litame moshav. The only reason that these things can combine is because there's a common tumah when it comes to tumas moshav. Aval ein roy litame moshav. But if you wouldn't have had that reason low, then you can't combine. So even though this Mishnah and Brisa are saying the same thing as Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, but it's giving a reason, and the reason is because there's some area where they share a common shiur. So over here, when we're talking about the amount of carrying on Shabbos, where the shiurim are totally different and they don't share a common shiur, so how could they be mitzdarif? So the Gemara says, Amar Rava, Rava answers, and we'll see Rava's answer in the next video on Daf Ayin Vav Amud Beis.